Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and the risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, what we do in this webinar here is introduce you to Bookmap, who uses it, how to connect it to the markets, how to subscribe to it, some of the Bookmap resources that are available for your education in the free education. And then we're going to look at Bookmap in the live market and start to go over some of the order flow basics. We'll define the elements on the Bookmap chart so you understand what you're looking at, and then start to define the significance of it, what Bookmap is showing you, how to read it very objectively, and start to understand the order flow. All right, so let's jump in. Oh, that said, there is an advanced webinar that starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. Now, in that webinar, we've moved beyond just the basics in the order flow. We get into very, very specific advanced order flow analysis. There's a 4-part educational course. Okay, now this is all for subscribers. It's not available for the public. We really want to focus on providing this to those who are interested in order flow details. All right, so that's for the subscribers, and you get the educational course, and then every day for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, we'll go through the order flow details. Okay, so that way you get the education that comes with the Bookmap package and subscription, so that you're not left behind. You understand exactly what it is, what we look at in the order flow, a very analytical or objective process, and then we start to anticipate where price might go based on that objective analysis. Okay, so that's the education that comes with Bookmap when you subscribe. All right, so let's jump into the Bookmap website and scroll down here and immediately define what is Bookmap. Okay, we're a software visualization platform. We're just like any other platform out there. And the difference, though, is that we have a unique way of visualizing the order flow data. Okay, let's continue on. Who uses Bookmap? Well, day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants, as well as position traders. I should put that in here in the list. They still want to look at the order flow on much higher time frames, and we will today as well. Okay, but we came from this quant environment and started to build out Bookmap from that very kind of binary understanding of market mechanics, just so we could understand where our own algos were getting filled, and then thought this is a unique way of visualizing the market and very helpful. And that applies to swing traders, scalpers, day traders, and position traders. All right, we'll continue on. You can read more about improving your skills here, but we got to go to connectivity and cover this. All right, so Bookmap connects to 3 different kinds of markets: futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Okay, now the data is free for digital currencies, but we're just software. We're not a broker nor a data provider. So for US equities and for futures, you will need to provide the data. Okay, the way to connect for US equities is through DX feed right here. And that's the only way to connect for US equities right now. Okay, so if you want to connect a Bookmap for stocks, then you will need to subscribe first to Bookmap, and then you will need to subscribe to DX feed. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to go through it. In fact, later this week, we have a webinar for US equities at 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. All right, I can get that link for you as well. In fact, let's just do that now. Okay, it's right here. If you're interested in that, and I'll put this into the chat for you. There you go. Okay, so just scroll down here. You can click the link here, join free webinar. You can scroll down a bit, and right here is where you sign up for the webinar. Okay, so it's at 1 p.m. on October 18th. All right, and sign up here. Okay, so that's for the US equities. Oops, sorry. All right, and that's DX feed, and that's how you connect Bookmap to US equities. Now for futures, there's all sorts of different data providers here. Okay, Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ Feed, Nanotick, and Cedro. Okay, all of those different data providers, as well as you can connect Bookmap via the API of another platform for TT Xtrader Pro, for Ninja 7 and 8, and for Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. You can connect Bookmap to those APIs of those platforms. However, it's recommended to bypass the platform altogether. We are a platform. Connect directly to, like Rhythmic or CQG is recommended. All right, if you need free data for like a trial, you can click here and take a look there. And then let's go over the subscription and pricing packages here. Okay, now we just changed this recently, so you can subscribe monthly here. You'll see it reflected in the price, or yearly, and you get that 20% discount, or lifetime. Okay, this is the new offering here. So a lot of people have asked about this, so we're offering it. If you wanted to purchase Bookmap outright, here you go. Okay, Bookmap Global and Global Plus. Right. Now let's go back to the monthly and just go through the different options or versions here. Now you can see the digital version here is free. Okay. This allows you to connect to one digital currency only, but the data is free. That market's always open, so you can always check out a live market with Bookmap. You could download this in a few minutes and install it and be up and running looking at a free digital currency. Okay, in just a few minutes. Now, if you want to look at futures and US equities, then I would recommend subscribing for a month and then cancel at any time. Okay, you will need to provide the data as mentioned, but you'll still get the cryptocurrency as well. But at this point, since you're subscribing, you get up to 20. All right, so you get that option as well. All right, and let's move on from the global version into the Bookmap Global Plus. Okay, what you get here are our add-on indicators. Okay, it's all listed over here. You can also record and replay your data. You get that for both Global and Global Plus. But for Global Plus, it's the indicators. Okay, so you can trade right from the Bookmap chart into a live funded futures or equities account. You can also access our proprietary indicators such as our large lot tracker that starts to identify larger players in the order book, or iceberg detector, another indicator. These are larger players that don't want to show their liquidity in the book, but our algo can detect them. They're using hidden orders or icebergs. Anyway, that's what you get with the Global Plus. All right, and let's see here. Well, this is where you probably signed up for the webinar. There's some testimonials. Let's go to the blog, just a few resources, and then we'll look at live market. Lots of good information here, interviews with traders and other stuff. Like we just released this 30+ materials for order flow. You might want to check that out. Then our Twitter feed, okay, at Bookmap_pro. Here's that tweet we just sent out. And then all sorts of information here, like for example, here's a tweet that we were looking at the larger time frame on Friday. Okay, this was during the advanced webinar, and we were looking for this. Price did come down quite a bit further than we anticipated, but this is exactly what we were looking for. Return to the other side of this range here, right into the close. Anyway, good stuff there. That's our Twitter feed. Then our Bookmap YouTube page. Let's go through this, just some of the playlists here. Intro videos for those of you who are new here. Features and components playlist for the different features. Some selected webinars, but these order flow video, the Bookmap education down here, I think you'll find these very helpful. Okay, these go through order flow phenomena that Bookmap uncovers, and that's what we're going to cover in this webinar a little bit, but this is what we go through in detail in the advanced webinar when you subscribe. All right, well, let's jump into Bookmap, see what's going on here. We're looking at the NASDAQ E-mini. Okay, and let me close up the one-click trading here. And I want to close up a few different add-ons here, or different indicators. There's a cumulative volume delta here. Okay, I'm going to close that. And then this white line here, this is our historical VWAP line. And then this line down here, this is our point of control. Both of these we like quite a bit and show a lot of nice stuff during the advanced order flow webinars. Anyway, let's close some of these up here. Right. So the POC is off, and let's close our VWAP and iceberg detector. Okay, so now we're looking at a simplified Bookmap chart. What we're displaying on this chart is very simple and straightforward data. Now, it looks like a lot, and for those of you who are new, you probably never seen anything like it. Okay, but let's just back up here and just cover this, because it's very simple data. Once you get an understanding here, we're looking at 3 elements on this chart. One is current and historical best bid and offer. The next is the volume dots that you see here. These are transactions, okay, that have taken place on that best bid and offer. And then the third element is just this heat map here, okay, this orange, yellow, kind of bluish heat map. What we're displaying there is liquidity, okay? And it's very, very straightforward. It looks like it's very complex, but it's just showing you. Let's just zoom in here and I'll cover it now. Looking at the current market right here, okay, see this vertical white line? This will make the distinction between the current market here to the right and the historical market here to the left. Okay, so this is what just happened, right? And this is what is happening right now. So, and then here is, that's the last traded volume, this number here, and this is our price ladder. And then you can see here the COB column. We're gonna cover just that, okay, just the COB, which stands for current order book. What we're showing here is liquidity, okay? These are contracts, and these are where traders are lined up to trade. They wanna be sellers up here. Okay, we have 7,100, the figure right in front of us here, and there's 53 contracts there, the most in the book right now. Okay, next level would be down here at 70.90. We see 50.49 right now. Okay, and we're kind of bouncing that back and forth between these two areas of high liquidity. Now, what you'll note is when the numeric values change, okay, the contracts are either added or pulled, then we reflect that difference, or in the heat map here, it's the graphical equivalent of that liquidity. Okay, so very high liquidity is given this kind of orangish color here. It was red earlier, okay? They pulled liquidity, as you can see it right in here, right? And so the heat map changes. Okay, so now up here we see 36 contracts instead of those 54, right? So that's what's going on at the heat map. Okay, we just take the numeric values, turn them into a graphical representation, and then when the numbers change, the heat map changes. The interesting part here is we take that and transpose it on the chart historically. So now you can start to understand and use the depth of market, your DOM, on much higher time frames. Okay? You can also see the intent of traders. Okay? So for example, let's stop this for a moment and let's go back a little bit. I can already see some interesting stuff here. Probably some of the same players. Look at these guys up here, okay, at 7,100 and a quarter, okay? And look where they pulled right here. See how they pulled their liquidity? They added up higher here, okay? Most likely, I mean, like, I don't know, 99% sure that this has got to be the same player. He pulled his liquidity here. He doesn't want to be a seller up here with his limit orders. He wants to be a seller now up here. Okay? Some of it, someone is front running here and they're still staying in the market, or kind of adding and pulling here. So they're still interested at the figure here. Okay, but this guy, or some of these guys here, pulled and added up here. Right? This kind of information here, we can very easily read and start to understand their intent to trade on the offer. Okay? Are they really interested? The answer is no, because they're pulling and adding higher. Okay? And in fact, they pulled up here, okay, same player, and added up here, okay, at 05. Then he pulled and came back down, right? So we can start to read the behavior here, right? And not only on this kind of recent historical time frame here, we can zoom out, okay? Now you can start to use your DOM, your depth of market, on much, much higher time frames. Okay, so for example, Let's zoom out here and get the entire cash session into the range here. Look at this really high liquidity down here at 7,100, the figure. Okay, well, we came down into it and we saw that they stayed in the book, right? We can see the transaction. Look at the big transactions that took place down here. But there was more selling pressure. They traded through that area. Okay, they originally bounced off of it here, as you can see, right? But they regained and attacked again and traded through that area. And now we're just kind of battling here at 7,100, the figure. This is pretty typical to see, trading right around those big figures like this when there is no kind of clear direction. All right. Anyway, that's how you can start to use the DOM on much higher time frames. And I've only covered here just one of the elements on the Bookmap chart, and that's the heat map. Okay, but that's the one that's the most important and most difficult for traders to understand and read. And the key to reading it and understanding it is to think of it like an auction. Okay, because that's truly, it's not an analogy, it's actually what it is. So you can start to read the auction and understand where traders are lined up, and then if they want to trade or not. Okay, they might pull. If they pull their liquidity, they don't really want to, be in that auction any longer. They pulled it and added it somewhere else, or just pulled it from the market. Okay, or maybe they're starting to front run a little bit. Like, look at these guys up here. Actually, someone thought it was a good idea to, a lot of traders started to front run these areas here. Okay, see how this just in front of the figure here. Okay, they're higher liquidity just here at kind of this O2 area. And then up here, they started to show interest as well. Okay, and originally what happened is this bounced. It bounced out of this area here. Okay, and then these guys, look at this interesting stuff to see. I just love this stuff. Look how they actually pulled here and start to chase. Okay, and they're chasing again. And they're actually, what exactly is going on here? Well, just think of that auction. And what's going on here is now they want to be buyers up at higher levels. Okay? They don't want this market to slip away from them. That's what it looks like to me. Or maybe it's fake. Maybe they're trying to skew the auction, show that there's massive demand here to get price to go higher. Who knows what their game here is in this case. In my opinion, let's see here. Yeah, maybe to try to skew that auction to get it back up into this range up here, the swing, and maybe hit some stops up here, but it's not too clear. I don't really see it getting filled into some of these areas. Maybe here it got filled at 24. Nonetheless, did they have the intent to trade? The answer is no, because they pulled right here. In fact, this is a phenomenon called a flip of the book. They pulled here on the bid and they flipped over to the offer here. Okay, and they pulled here as well, so they did not have the intent to trade either. Right, so you can see we're really reading this now at a very high rate, and this I just love to see this kind of stuff. Look at this skew in the book. Now this is kind of a spoofing type of activity. Okay, beautiful stuff to see. Very high liquidity here. We can use our data tip tool, hover over this area, and we see on the bid it's 77 contracts. Okay, pulled, added higher, stays in here, pulled, added higher. Okay, so it's showing a lot of demand, and in fact, it's kind of goosing this market up into potentially trying to get it up into maybe 25, right? 24, 25 area. In the end, there was a little bit of a battle here, and they traded into these guys. The sellers, they were high enough that the aggressive seller took them on here, and they traded into it. This is the distinction here between real and fake liquidity right here. Here it traded, right? So then, it kind of answers this question here for those of you interested in spoofing. Is this spoofing, like a disruptive, prohibitive practice? And the answer is no. Although they are skewing the book here, they ended up staying in the book and trading. Right, so in that case, you can't really prove that they didn't take any risk and they don't want to trade. In fact, they did trade, right? And we see, look how much traded up here. Okay, this is actually came up a little bit higher, and the transactions really picked up here, right? So we see 68 contracts here. Only 24 out of these 82 contracts here traded, right? But anyway, we see the transactions up here as well, right? So it looks like those guys got in. You know, who knows if they were they spoofing, you know, potentially, or were they just trying to get out? You know, were they caught? Were they caught short? You know, and chasing here. That's a good question, but to me, looks more kind of like maybe a skew of the book trying to get it up here. Anyway, that's the heat map. Now we're starting to read the liquidity, okay, on a pretty high level here. Okay? Now what we can do is start to match that with all sorts of things here. Okay, some really good stuff here to see, just in this little area up here. Okay, so let's go over the other two elements that we see on this Bookmap chart and put these pieces together for the entire order flow. And let's zoom in here. Okay, now this is where I'm going to say how simple this data is here. Okay, in fact, we're going to take the heat map off for just a second here, and we're going to cover these other two elements on the chart. Okay, one is the best bid and offer. Okay, this is the historical best bid and offer that we're looking at. So this green line here is the best bid, and the red line is the best offer. And you can see the spread here. It's a couple ticks wide, okay, and it narrows down to 1 tick. And then these red dots here, well, these are transactions. Okay, these are market sell orders. Okay, someone hit the market sell button. They took liquidity off of the best bid. That's why they're the aggressor. They're not providing liquidity. They're not waiting in the book. They just took it, right? They want in, and they sold. This is actually what moves price. Okay, the aggressor, and these are the sells. So let's zoom in here a little bit more, and I want to show you something, because as we zoom in, see how there's trades within trades here, because we're very precisely recording everything. We're down at microsecond level here, okay, in the time frame. So we're looking at millions of seconds here, but we can go down further too, but we're not. I don't want to demo that. It's no big deal. It's just it's not worth it, you know. We don't trade at those levels, but I just want to mention how precisely we're recording all this data. Okay, we came from that HFT environment. We were looking at nanosecond levels. Anyway, you can see that there are 3 transactions here for a volume of 28. That's the CVP column, is a volume column for the chart range here. Right. Now I can hover over each one, and it tells me what's going on here. Okay, let's see if were there more transactions here? No. 1 transaction for a volume of 14. Okay, the last line of text there gives me the volume. All right. Okay, but now we don't trade off of those levels, right? So what we do when we zoom out is we visually just aggregate that into a bigger dot. Okay, and so you get a feel for what's going on in terms of the transactions. So bigger dot, obviously more volume. Color of the dot is telling you that these are sells. Okay, market buy would be the opposite, it's the green dot. Okay, and then look at this sweep of the book here. Right, this is great stuff to see. This is how price moves, okay? And kind of a catastrophic manner here. You can see that the sellers came in and they just hit the bid really hard. They took all of the liquidity, the aggressor, all of the liquidity at one price level, and then now the best bid went to another price level, and then that traded, and then and so forth, all the way down to this kind of 17 level here, or even 16 and a half, 16 and a half. Okay. All right. Now, why I want to go over that is if we zoom out, okay, look at the move back up into where we just dropped from. Okay, so now we know we have the volume very precisely recorded, but this historical best bid and offer here, look what it's doing. It's providing us understanding of structure. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Well, we can even look at the microstructure, but what I mean by structure is here's an area of consolidation, and here's the break of it. Okay, where do we come back up to and test? Right to where it broke from. Okay, this is actually one of the setups that we look for in the advanced order flow webinars every day. Okay, you'll see it again and again. You anticipate, or we anticipate, sellers to be back up here, or a lack of buying and then sellers to come back in. And it's just how the market works. Anyway, that's what I mean by structure. Here's another little structure right over here. Look at this. This almost looks, perfect for like a kind of a flag pattern, right? Okay, there's a bigger flag pattern here actually. But we're starting to now understand these patterns, not just because they're a pattern, but they exist because of the order flow. That's what defines these patterns, okay? So what's important is not to understand the pattern, but to understand what makes it up and why. And here it is. Here's the sweep of the book, starts with that, okay, into this area here. And then let's actually put on the heat map here and put all these pieces together. Beautiful stuff already, right into high liquidity up here. And then we go sideways for a bit, and then look at these guys here at 08 here. Okay, now they were on the offer here. Now they're kind of pushing price on the bid side, it looks like. And sellers kind of test around into this area, but we find more buyers and they sweep the book higher. Okay, so that's what occurred here. And then here's the pullback to where we broke from again. Okay, same pattern that we were just looking at on the downside. Now we're seeing that pullback here on the upside. Anyway, interesting stuff. We see it every day here. Once you start to understand and put these pieces together, not only will you see this and understand order flow on these kind of smaller time frames, but we can zoom out. And now you're starting to see it and understand it on much, much higher time frames here and put those pieces together. Okay, that's what the swing traders and position traders are looking at and understanding some of these levels here. Okay, now we're above this 7,100 figure, right? Is it being supported or not, etc. But anyway, this higher time frame stuff is great for using Bookmap, and that goes back to, okay, for example, this tweet that we tweeted out on Friday. We cover this in that advanced order flow webinar. Okay, this is what we're looking for, return back into this area. You can use this every day this way, or if you're looking for a few points or ticks, you can start to zoom in and look at that more recent activity here. And for example, let's see if we can test up into 117 or 115 here with 117 contracts. It looks pretty good. Looks like the aggressors they're adding in here. Let's see the sweep up into that area there. Okay, just by understanding the volume here and starting to understand that buyers are starting, they're in control. So looking for the test into the high liquidity. Anyway, let's wrap it up. If you're a subscriber, we'll see you in the next webinar. Else, we'll catch up with you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, nice book sweep. Look at that. There it is. There's our follow through. Beautiful stuff. All right, guys. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.